In this chapter, I'm going to show you how I set up the final renders and some tricks in compositing in Photoshop. Here, something I should mention that here we have a Skydome with an HDRI. And in order to have this character with a clean alpha, we need to put the first camera rays at 0. And I'll show you how does it work. Here we have the render of our character. And here we can check the alpha. You can see that now we have a perfect clean alpha and we can composite this on top of any background that we like. If we change the camera rays here at 1, which is the default, we're going to see the HDRI in the background and we don't want this. So make sure that this is at 0. In this way we're going to have clean renders. Starting at the top, I'm going to render EXR and I also merge AOVs, so I'm going to basically output a multi-channel EXR, which I'm going to split then in Photoshop. Here for frame range, I'm rendering from 0 to 50 and by 10 frames. This means that I'm going to render 1 frame every 10 and skip existing frames. Here I have all my cameras, which are 4 cameras, and here is the image size. You can set any size that you like. A very common practice is to render HD 720 or Full HD 1080. Here I'm doing something that is slightly bigger than a 2K. Then we go in the second tab, and here are the anti-aliasing samples. Keep in mind that the first camera rays here, the AA samples, are the ones that basically act as a multiplier. So basically you are multiplying this number by all the other numbers below. So I tend to keep this pretty low. Usually I stay around 4. And usually I start with diffuse, specular, transmission, SSS at 2, and then I increase as I need. Here I found that these settings give me usually a really good result. So I have camera rays 4, diffuse 4, specular 4, transmission 2 and SSS 4. Usually these are really good settings. And then I add also a little clamping here and I set the value at 10. And here I have all my AOVs. So this is pretty much all you need to do in Maya and Arnold. And then you can go here in render sequence. And here you put the path where you want to render your images, and then render sequence and close. And now the render is starting. It's going to take quite a while. For my render was around 30 minutes per frame. So I'm going to stop here and see you in a bit. Here now I'm running a test render and I can check all our AOVs or passes. So that's the beauty. This is the ID, normals, and the Z-depth now looks only like a white frame, but it's going to work. We're going to see that later. Albedo, specular direct, and SSS. All these are looking perfectly fine, and once this is finished, I'm going to save the beauty. Here, I just save the image and call it beauty.tga or JPEG. So I'm going to keep this image as a comparison for later, and you will see why in a bit. Now, before getting into Photoshop for the final compositing, we need to install a few more things, because Photoshop doesn't have the proper color management that we need. And usually you would open and work with these files in compositing software such as Nuke, which have a proper color management. But in this case, we can do something really similar and the result will be perfectly fine in Photoshop. You need to install few things that I'm going to give you in the resources. So there is an RCC profile, which is really easy. You just download it and right click and it's going to install in Windows. And then we need to install a LUT, which is a lookup table. And this goes in the C program file, Adobe, preset and LUTs. After you've done that, also you need to install another little plugin, which is a completely free plugin, and it is EXR.io. And you click on this link, and you can find the webpage where you can download it. This is the plugin that is going to allow you to open multi-channel EXR in Photoshop and then composite them. So once you're done that, just restart Photoshop and you are ready to work. Now we are back into Photoshop, and the first thing that we want to do is open the target file, and this will act as a comparison. Basically, in this file, all the transform display is baked in. So here, this is exactly what we see when we are rendering. Here we can check the alpha channel by clicking and then applying a mask. And here we can put a solid color. I put a 50% gray. So this is our reference image. And we can save this file. Now we can open the EXR and we can start, for example, with the mid shot, opening the beauty. Now we can see this is the EXR.io, which is going to open the multi-channel EXR. Here you can see all the layers. For each layer we have a path. On top there is the beauty, then there is the ID, the normals, the depth, the albedo, the specular, and SSS. Now let's have a look at the beauty. Here in image mode we can see that we have a 32-bit. So what we need to do now? Here we go in edit and we assign a profile. And here we can pick ICC profile that we installed before, and is this one, ACES AP display 001. You can see that when we apply this, the color is shifting. Then we apply the LUT, the lookup table, and here we pick our LUT, which is this one, SCG Photoshop Sim Linear. And we can see another shift in the color. Now with Ctrl A we are baking the view transform. We can change this and make it a 16-bit image and don't merge. Here now we can put the solid color, 50% gray. And you can see that this and this are exactly the same image. So now it's being color corrected properly. But the advantage of this is that we have all the layers here in our PSD file, and we can start to do compositing. And also we are working with a 16-bit image, and this has a much better color depth, so this allows us to do better compositing. After you've done that, you can save this as a PSD. I'm going to call this comp and save. And this is our first step. Let's open another image. Okay, we can open this. And after we open, here we can create a new action. Here we create a new action, and I can call this ACES CG 02, because I already have created another one, and give a color orange, and I start to record. So basically everything that I'm doing now is going to be recorded into an action. We can go in edit and assign profile. And here we pick our profile, ACES AP. And you can see the shift. Let's say OK. And now we're going to do the lookup table. And here we apply our LUT. You can see this is applied. And we can merge it down. And then change mode to 16-bit. And don't merge. And then we stop recording. So now we have an action. And we can see here in bottom mode, we have SSCG number 2. Now, next time I open the image, I'm not going to save this. Next time I open the image, beauty. I'm going to open the image. And now I'm going to push this button SSCG and it's going to do everything for me. And now the image is ready. I just need to save it and I can start to comp. This is much faster. So I created one button to do the SSCG color transform. And then I did another for the depth of field. I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the Z depth. I'm going to create another action. Let's create another action. Z depth 02. And now start recording. Now what I'm going to do is go to image mode, 16 bits, and merge, and change the method to equalize histogram. Now this is applied and we need to invert by Ctrl I, and then we can stop recording. Now we can switch to bottom mode, and every time we open a ZDepth pass, we just need to push the button and this is going to do all the work for us. Let's get into the final comp now. I honestly think that this beauty pass is pretty good and I don't really need to add much in compositing. What I can do is, for example, add the jet specular in screen mode and give a really small opacity, like a 30%, just to give a little kick in the specular. But it's just very subtle. And sometimes what I do, I also blur this with a Gaussian blur and blur a tiny amount, like 8. This gives me a soft glowing effect to the image, which I like quite a bit. Then another thing that I can do is work on the background color and try different combinations. I like quite a bit to play with the colorful backgrounds in my compositing. For now, I like this one, this vivid green, but let's get back to the gray. Another thing that I like doing a lot, it's adding some particles. Here I have some images of particles and I stuck them on top. This really helped me to give a lot of depth to the image. Usually I put them in screen or add. Sometimes I duplicate these multiple times and I give different scalings. And these really add a lot of depth to the image. Many times I give also different intensity, so maybe one layer is 15% and the other is 30%. And this gives me this really nice layered effect with a little bit of depth. Now is where the depth comes into play. So let's open the depth. Here, once we open, we run our script. Now I'm going to take this and copy into the alpha channel. Then I create a layer on top of everything and then merge all. And then I apply a blur, lens blur filter, lens blur. Here I specify the source, which is the alpha channel, and just pick the object. Then I change the radius here. And this is the final result. I don't do much more in compositing. It's really just little touches. So I'm going to comp a few other images and see you in a bit. So these are some of the final comps for this character. I'm very happy with the result overall, and I have to say that was a great pleasure for me to create these tutorials. It was an amazing journey, and I really hope that you have learned some tricks along the way. I wish you the best of luck on creating your own characters. Don't hesitate to contact me via ArtStation, and until then, goodbye.